Scope of a variable. So what does mean by scope of a variable? So ideally scopes are defined as accessibility of that variable, from which places this variable can be accessible, that will be defined as a scope of a variable. So in Python it will be divided into two different ways. One is the global variable and the second is a local variable. So whatever variables we are creating inside the function, those will be called as in local variables. Otherwise, if the created variable is outside of the function, that will be called as a global variable and it will be used by any other functions as well. Let's understand more about these variables by some examples. Okay, here I am creating one function which is my function, and here I will be putting variable value as a n with a 10 value, and then let's call this function int. If I do this and if I run this, we can see that 10 is getting returned here. So this n will be called as a local function because the scope of this function is scope of this variable is within this function. For example, if I print here one more n, here I am defining n with value 5. Okay, so now we have two different places where n is defined. One n is defined inside the function and another n is defined outside the function. You see value of this n variable is 10, value of this n variable is 5, and I'm gonna print n at the end here. Okay, now let's run the code. Now we can see the value of n is getting printed as a 5 because this variable is outside this function. So whatever value we will print it here, it will be coming here. Now if I print same n here, okay, call this I find. Here we can see the value of n is 10. So depending on where this n is, we are having different values. So this outside n will be a global. However, the n which is inside to this function will be called as a local because this function will be accessible only this value of n will be accessible only inside this function. Now let's understand how global will be defined. For example, I'm creating here as m is equals to 10, 100. Let's say m is equal to 100. Now can I use this m here? Let's run this and see what will happen. It is printing 100 because right now there is no yum inside this function. So it is pointing to global variable. Now if I define here one more n with value 15, and let's see what this function is going to print. Now it will print 15 because within inside this local function yum is pointing to 15. If I want to use this m, all I need to do is here global m. That way, after using this global keyword, this yum value will be taken from this particular place of this from this global variable, and then I can just run this code. Now we can see it is again printing 200. Now if I want to use this global variable and make changes on this particular variable, then only we can add here global keyword. Using this keyword, this is gonna point to my global variable m, and it will replace this value with a 12. Okay. Let's print this value outside the function for the better understanding. Okay. So here what I'm gonna do is, before I define yum as a local, let's run it when yum is a global. So here we can see the value is coming as 100. Now I'm going to modify the value of this global yum inside this function. For that we will be creating global variable, global keyword, and we'll add it around before m value, and we'll pass whatever value we want to pass here. And now if we print, the printer does not. Okay, let me check indentations first. Okay, let's run this code now. And let's um, here we can see that we are getting value 12. I hope you understood what is the main purpose of this having global and local variables.